Imagine revealing your medical condition and the person you told takes a step away from you, or worse. This is a reality for many people living with HIV. I'm Alex Redmond, and on today's CAN Community Health, we're going to discuss HIV stigma and the myths and realities of living with HIV. We're joined by CAN's Peer Program Manager, Valerie Wojciechowicz, and Prevention Specialist, Mikey Lamb, also known as Mikey. All right, guys, so as we get started, hit me right between the eyes. I'm going to ask you both the same question. What is it like living with HIV?
Ladies first.
Gosh, on what level?
Just what is your day-to-day like? What is it like? Because people have no idea, and also people think that they know the face of HIV.
Yeah, so to clear that up a little bit, I've been living with HIV for at least 32 years, and I don't know anyone who looks like those 1980s stereotypical pictures or the pictures that pop up when you Google HIV or AIDS. Today, we lead normal, healthy lives. We live a normal life expectancy, but our lives are in no way, shape, or form normal. So many people know that today HIV can be treated with one pill once a day, which is awesome. I never thought we'd be there. But what folks don't know is the actual living with HIV, trying to disclose your status, trying to deal with people's reactions when you do disclose your status, dealing with the stereotypes and the stigmas that society still perpetuates. That's the hard part.
Well, and I would ask you the same question, Mikey. What is it like to be a young person living with HIV?
I was diagnosed with HIV at the age of 21. So now that I'm 27. So those 6 years were so traumatizing because here I am young, fine, and in my prime and trying to figure out life. And it's like, whoa, what am I supposed to do with such a diagnosis that I thought was indeed a death sentence, an immediate death sentence as it was way back in the days. So living with HIV for me, it's like, wow, here I am with the better drugs, but it's still very, very hard. Like Valerie said, with disclosure, figuring out day-to-day life, and also taking medicine every day, knowing that you're not gonna eradicate your HIV. Some people have a headache and they take Excedrin and it goes right away. I've been taking those pills for 6 years, Valerie for almost 32 years, and now it's like, well, when am I gonna be healed? When am I gonna be cured? We can only hope for HIV to totally be gone.
And you both brought up the disclosure factor. So is it difficult when you talk? Well, I know it must be challenging, but what about sex? Having an intimate relationship with someone, is that a concern? Are you scared to have sex?
Go ahead.
As far as scared to have sex, I'm not totally scared as I'm in fear, but it's more so when I disclose my status to someone I'm about to be very intimate with, what are they gonna do with my status? If I disclose, are you gonna tell your friends, oh, you know, I met this guy, and by the way, his name is Mikey, and oh, also he's HIV positive. And then I've had to disclose my status in that intimate setting, and it's been like, oh, wait, no, and they actually take a step back as if I'm dangerous. And it's like, no, that doesn't feel good.
Well, when 1 in 7 people, according to studies, don't know that they are HIV positive, that's 1 in 7 people living with HIV, then the concern would probably be more so of somebody that doesn't know that they're positive and is acting without using proper things for their sexual health, like condoms. And if somebody knows that they're positive, they can take the proper steps in order to remain sexually healthy. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
But here's the problem. So folks don't know that little tidbit of information. They know HIV, ew. And so when I'm dating and I disclose, I feel like I'm telling you the most personal thing about me, and so I want to know about your world. And a lot of times these guys are having condomless sex with people who they have no idea what their partners have or don't have, and then they want to be afraid of me. And I'm like, no, I'm a little more afraid of that scenario where folks have not been to the clinic and don't know what's going on with their own body, but because of the stigma attached to this virus, it's just immediately, ew. When really, in truth, today, what we know is that we cannot transmit HIV if our viral load is undetectable and we're on effective medical treatment. But folks don't know that, and they don't understand.
Well, that's why today's show is a great opportunity for you to let our studio audience know that we are actually at that point with HIV treatment where if you're taking your medication, it can bring your viral load down to what's known as undetectable. And that's a wonderful thing. I mean, did you ever think that you were going to see that day?
There are so many things going on today that I never thought I would see. I never thought I'd see one pill once a day. There are injectables in trials where you get a shot once a month or every 2 months. There are changes going on all the time. I never thought we'd cure a virus, but we've cured hepatitis C. And I certainly never thought somebody would say to me, and CDC quote, somebody living with HIV on effective treatment with an undetectable viral load for 6 months or longer has effectively no risk of transmitting HIV.
And if people are concerned about that information, they want to know where can they find that? That's right, the CDC?
The CDC, World Health Organization, NIH, I mean anywhere, all of the major medical organizations have signed on and agree in a similar statement that says people on effective treatment with an undetectable viral load cannot transmit HIV.
That is wonderful. Well, let's find out some more good stuff. What is the best part? Because we talked about the tricky parts about disclosure. What's the best part about disclosing your HIV status?
It's liberating. You know, I felt that I was able to finally not only disclose my status, but really be comfortable with disclosing my status. As I said, there's really no fear in disclosing my status, not knowing what other folks will do with it, but knowing myself, being comfortable with that and saying, by the way, I'm living with HIV. Whether it's to, you know, someone of interest, somebody of intimacy, a barber, a makeup artist, a photographer, all these folks are very supportive. But one thing I don't want folks to do is when I say, by the way, I'm living with HIV, oh, I'm so, right, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, don't be sorry. Take this information and know it could happen to anybody because I am a brother, I'm a son, I'm an uncle, I'm a friend, and I'm just awesome. So that is just an intricate part of how awesome I am.
And what would you tell other people that are out there? Because undoubtedly there's somebody out there that's watching the show right now that maybe just got a diagnosis and they might feel very frightened. What would you say to them? I
would say, I don't want you to have to feel as if you have to go out to the highest mountain and say, by the way, I'm living with HIV. Process, study, ask plenty of questions, and seek folks you know who are out living with HIV loud and proud till one day you can hope to get there. I'm a mentee and a mentor, thanks to Valerie, with all of the things she's taught me. And I've learned to really, really let people, you know, meet people where they're at.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a little break. When we come back, we will answer questions from you, our viewers. So stay with us so we can clear up what's happening, the truth about HIV. Florida is #1 for beaches.
The Sunshine State also leads the nation for new HIV cases.
The opioid epidemic makes the fight against HIV and hepatitis C more challenging.
Minorities, women, young people,
And seniors are most affected by HIV.
But you can get tested.
You can get diagnosed.
And you can get treated.
CAN offers hope.
For information, call or visit us online.
Seniors, this one's for you. I'm Bob Trissolini. We don't talk about it, but seniors are at a high risk for HIV, hepatitis C, and other sexually transmitted diseases. You know that little blue pill that kind of puts us in the mood? Well, sometimes we don't practice safe sex. Many are walking around with HIV and Hep C and don't even know it. So protect yourself. You can get tested. You can get diagnosed. And you can be treated.
CAN Community Health. Welcome back. I'm Alex Redmond, and we're talking about stigma and HIV. CAN Community Health's Valerie Wojciechowicz and Michael Lamb will clear everything up, and they'll clear up some myths and misconceptions and answer your questions. So you guys must get a lot of strange questions that are asked. So we figured we'd ask some people that have been watching the show to write in. And here's the number one we got. So if I drink from your glass, will I get HIV? Because a lot of people have no idea. If they drink from your glass, are they going to get HIV? And that's from Susan in Sarasota.
Well, there's no such thing. I always tell folks there's no such thing as a stupid question. This is just a teachable moment because there's so many misconceptions, as you said, about the stigma surrounding HIV. So to answer Susan's question, absolutely not. You cannot get HIV from drinking out of my glass, sitting in a seat after me, shaking my hand, giving me a hug. No casual contact will transmit HIV.
Do you get that question too, Valerie?
All the time. I mean, and you know what I see more is that I hear from employees at CAN who say, well, when they tell their friends or family where they're working, they go, ooh, and a visible step back, or say, aren't you afraid to work there? And it is, I agree with Mikey, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I'd rather have someone put it out on the table so that we can all learn from it.
All right, well, we have another one, and that's Brandon from Venice writes, are people living with HIV promiscuous, and is that why they got it?
Take it away.
What is promiscuous?
I don't know. Is it sleeping with someone the first time on a first date, or is it 10 people, you know, that you meet over the course of a year? I don't really know. What is promiscuous?
So my belief system might be that sex outside of marriage is promiscuous, or my belief system might be more than one partner, or my belief system might be, well, if it's more than 100 partners, that's promiscuous. That's a word that throws judgment on people that I would really rather see folks not use. Multiple partners, it's really kind of a non-issue because all it takes is one person, one time.
And it can be the very first time that somebody is actually intimate with someone that they can get an HIV transmission. So perhaps people, would you suggest they not be so judgy?
Oh, absolutely. And to add on to that note, yes, it takes one time, one person for that transmission to happen, but we can never ever discount the folks that are diagnosed through vertical transmission, which is folks who are diagnosed with HIV coming literally headfirst into the world. So we can never push that judgment on someone who wasn't able to have that intimacy and was diagnosed at birth.
Right, because also people have no idea that there are cases of pediatric HIV where a child is born positive. And in fact, we have a few clients that have been living with HIV, you know, from the moment they were born.
Yes,
so that's,
we do.
yeah, but they're living well and they're, you know, adherent to their medication, which helps make a huge difference. Yes,
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. So one of the questions that we got, which was very interesting, and this is also from Venice. This is Jared from Venice. Wants to know, how did you get it? Is that something that someone should or shouldn't ask?
Let me build that.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Let me build that relationship with you, but as soon as I disclose, again, as I said earlier, don't give me pity, don't give me sorrow, and also wait till I feel a little bit more comfortable, because you don't know that hurdle that I had to struggle with to disclose my status. So how did you get it? Right then and there, depending on my answer, that's going to be your judgment on me. Just like, oh, you were promiscuous. Well, no, you don't know if I was born with it. Oh, you must be, you know, you must inject drugs. It's like, oh, no. So that question is always, I want to say don't ask it, but I know how folks can be, so just wait to ask that if we build a relationship.
I mean, we don't really ask people that have cancer, how did you get it? I mean, sometimes we do. We say things like, well, did your mother have it? Or did you smoke? But truly, it's almost like people put the blame on the person rather than the fact that in one's lifetime, they will undoubtedly engage in an intimate relationship at some point. And unless you know that person has been either monogamous or for a fact doesn't use drugs. Even in marriages, people can get an HIV transmission or in a partnership that's long time if someone gets a transmission.
Yes.
So the thing is that it's hard enough to disclose as it is. So if I'm disclosing my HIV status to you and you say, how did you get it? Then I have to either justify my sexual behavior or my drug behavior, which is really unfair. So, you know, I tell people that I have no idea when or how I got it, because it's not like there's a sign that goes ding, 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 you know you contracted HIV.
If only.
For a lot of us, we have no idea to know no way to know when or how we got it.
Do you think that there's a lot of people out there that go into the hospital for things other than that, particularly seniors, and perhaps they go in there and maybe, you know, Uncle Larry has pneumonia, maybe Uncle Larry passes away and doesn't come out, but maybe he was HIV positive, which is why he got the pneumonia? Is that possible?
Absolutely. A lot of folks, that is how they get diagnosed with HIV. From clients that we do have and do see, a lot of folks, that's how they got diagnosed, because they got a bad case of pneumonia. They had to go through all these tests and surgeries and things of that nature. And the one test folks usually forget or do last is an HIV test.
Do you think that there should be routine testing, or it should be offered anytime that someone goes to the physician?
Mandatory,
Right.
not offered, mandatory.
Mandatory.
Absolutely.
And according to the CDC, everyone between the ages of 13 and 64, I have no idea why they stopped at 64, should have an HIV test once in their lifetime.
Absolutely.
I think it's a little bit further than that. I'd love to see annual screening.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Because you don't just get tested the one time, you continue your testing, you know, just to make sure, because you never know, lives change, partners change, perhaps, you know.
Recommended every 3 to 6 months, depending on the sexual behaviors, depending on the situation at hand, whether you just got out of a relationship or you're just now starting to have sex and you're like, woo, this is fun, let me let me try and see what I really like.
Yeah.
So it's always recommended every 3 to 6 months.
All right, we have another question, and this one is from Jamie, and Jamie is in Palmetto.
Oh,
Jamie wants to know, do only gay people get HIV?
Hetero woman, right here.
So there we have it for the whole world. Valerie Wojciechowicz has just proclaimed her heterosexuality.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Absolutely. And I never want folks to, you know, revert to that as only gay folks get it. Even though this community, my community, because I am an openly gay man, if you guys couldn't tell, I don't want everyone to think that, oh, only gay folks get it or only straight white women get it. This is a disease that can and will impact and affect everyone, because not only are we diagnosed with HIV and it affects us personally, our friends, our families, our communities also are affected by our status, because they're always worrying, they're always constantly asking how is everything and things of that nature. So I don't want people to think, oh, only these folks get it.
Well, it was many years ago that it was predominantly a white gay man's disease. That was who it affected more than anybody else.
GRID, correct?
Only in the very beginning.
GRID,
GRID.
Correct.
right. They called it gay-related infectious disease, which was GRID. That's before we knew it was a virus that could cause AIDS down the road. It's like having a late-stage cancer, correct?
Right. Well, and that was only for a very short time. That's how HIV, actually AIDS, got its name in the beginning, but then we started seeing babies being born with it and women contracting it.
But also, it's not just white people. It's
Oh.
people of all colors of the rainbow. Who do you think is most disproportionately affected right now, and who do we need to reach out to the most?
Statistics show that 1 in 2 African American males that sleep with men, even without identifying as gay, will be diagnosed with HIV before they're 40. So 1 in 2, that's a 50% chance. Average in Florida, 2 women per day are diagnosed with HIV, and here you are seeing a white gay male, a heterosexual white woman. So that stigma plays such a role in coming out to your community, whether someone recognizes you from around the way. We have clients that will come in and see somebody from around the way and bolt out the back door because they recognize each other from the same communities of color. So they are highly disproportionately affected.
If you could take it back, or do you wish it never happened? Do you wish you never became HIV positive? Must be a hard question. And that question is from Tammy in Sarasota.
That's one of my favorite questions, but can I go back to the communities of color? Because we are 2 white people sitting here, and I want to stress that we are only white here because we cannot get folks from communities of color to talk about their HIV status.
Well, this is your opportunity to look right there, and you can make an appeal to people out there. Who do you need? Look right there and tell them.
So we need folks living in communities of color, and a lot of times even people who don't have HIV will say to me, but if I start talking about HIV, they're going to think I have it. And so
Who do you
the
need?
stigma goes that far. We need people in the communities of color to help educate, help communicate the realities about HIV, because while we are great educators, I don't think that we can effectively deliver that message.
Representation definitely matters when talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And to answer the question from Tammy, I believe her name was, if HIV didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have met such an amazing woman like Valerie Wojciechowicz. And it is so good to see such community, even though we're stigmatized so bad.
All right, on that note, we're going to go ahead and take a little break. And when we come back, we will be speaking with Mikey Lamb, he's a prevention specialist, and Valerie Wojciechowicz about myths, stigma, and the realities of living with HIV. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dickie Smothers. You may know me as one of the Smothers brothers, and then again, maybe not. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk to you about something serious. Hepatitis C. No laughing matter. It can lead to cirrhosis of the liver, even liver cancer. Baby boomers are most at risk. You could have Hep C and not even know it. You can get tested, you can get diagnosed, and you can get treated. Hep C can now be cured.
For information, call or visit cancommunityhealth.org. Florida is #1 for beaches.
The Sunshine State also leads the nation for new HIV cases.
The opioid epidemic makes the fight against HIV and hepatitis C more challenging.
Minorities, women, young people,
And seniors are most affected by HIV.
But you can get tested.
You can get diagnosed.
And you can get treated.
CAN offers hope.
For information, call or visit us online. Welcome back. We're talking about stigma and myths that are associated with HIV, and here to clear it all up is Valerie Wojciechowicz. She's the peer program manager of CAN Community Health and prevention specialist Michael Lamb. And before we went to break, we were taking your email questions, and Mikey had an opportunity to answer that one, but Valerie is also going to answer the same question, which is, if you could take it back, would you change your diagnosis? It's a tough question.
You know, I wonder what my life would be like. I look at my peers, and they're saving for retirement, and their kids and grandkids and all that kind of stuff. I wonder what my life would be like without it. I would not give it back for all the tea in China. I get up every single day and I get to make a difference in the world. I get up every single day and have an appreciation for life that I don't think I would have had if I wasn't told I was going to die for so long. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Please understand, I'm not saying go out and get HIV. It's awesome.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
for me personally, I have the ability to look at all the positive things and the positive people who've come into my life as a result of it.
What should you do if somebody reveals that they are HIV positive? Because a lot of people out there in our community have no idea what they should do. And that was an email question that was sent in from Jeb in Port Charlotte. So what should you do or not do if someone reveals their HIV status?
As I said before, don't give me sympathy, don't give me pity, don't ask that question, well, how did you get it? Just be there, listen, let me cry, let me kick, let me scream, and just let me unpack with you. And if it's a first date thing, just listen, and as I drop things along the way, just listen. That's all you can do right now, because I don't want you to say, oh, I get it, I understand. It's like, no, you don't. Far from.
And so then in addition to what Mikey said, also keep it to yourself. I don't care what communities we travel in, whether you're someone from work or a social group. If I give you that information, it's not okay for you to share that information with anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine that there's a few people that you've told, and before you know it, you're walking down the street or down the corridor of wherever you're going, and there's whispers. So, yeah, I think that people need to be aware that they should treat you the way that they would like to be treated, because you never know. They could be the next person to come up with the transmission. You never know.
Absolutely.
All right. One thing that I know is very, very near and dear to Valerie Wojciechowicz's heart, and also Mikey Lamb's, is Language. How do the words that we say perpetuate that continual stigma? What is it about certain words that should or should not be said? And do you have alternative words? Let's start with you, Valerie, because you came up with a whole language program that you presented.
So I feel like we're never going to make adequate progress with HIV until we can really do something about stigma. And there are so many ways that we can attack stigma. One of them is through the language that we use. If you think about it, when I say I'm infected, most people picture a big oozy sore. So that is common terminology in HIV. He's infected. When did you get infected? Now that you're infected. And so there are other words that we can use that are less stigmatizing. In HIV, we use so many terms that take us, people living with HIV, that take our power away.
All right, and Mikey, have you also found that there's certain things or certain words that people say
it's
that are just no-nos?
Not only is it words, it's just how you phrase those things. One thing Valerie and Vicki Lynn taught me was people first language is so important. I am a person living with HIV, not an HIV positive person. So putting the person before the diagnosis is so important. And you see me as a whole. You see me, Michael Lamb. This is who I am. I am Michael Lamb. So HIV is a part of me. So is the fact that I do poetry. So is the fact that I am an American man. So is the fact that I'm a taxpayer. So HIV is just a very small, intricate part of me and how I express myself to the world. So to say, oh, he's HIV positive, no. I'm Michael Lamb, and I am a person living with HIV.
And of course, you guys would like to have more people out there in our community helping to help people that are newly diagnosed with HIV and raising awareness. So if you'd like some more information about CAN Community Health, you can go online to cancommunityhealth.org. That's cancommunityhealth.org, or you can go ahead and call us. But Valerie, what is the need for people like you that are HIV positive, that are going to be out there disclosing their HIV status in an effort to help somebody that may be newly diagnosed and terrified, or someone that maybe moved here from New York City or something?
Yeah, so there are two ways that we do that. We have a speakers bureau where folks living with HIV go out and speak in the community. We go to schools and treatment centers, and that is disclosure on the grand scale. So if folks feel like they want to take that step, we're always happy to train people who want to learn to speak and help them get out there. The piece about peer navigating is disclosure on a smaller scale. So we work with our clients in the clinic, and we have to disclose our status to them in order to effectively help them. And we're always looking for peer navigators in all of our clinics as well.
How much does it mean to someone that feels like they hit a wall, they are paralyzed with fear because they just got their diagnosis, when you say, hey, I'm here to help you and I'm positive?
Just to see the relief, to see them crawling in a corner and so scared, like, oh, you have a nurse, you have a doctor, and just see another person come into the room, they're just like, I'm so tired of seeing people. And when we say, I was a peer navigator at one point, so when we walked in and said, oh, by the way, I'm living with HIV, they felt comfortable.
All right, well, we've had tons of great information from Valerie Wojciechowicz and Mikey Lamb, and we want to thank you for watching CAN Community Health. And remember, you can be the one to make a difference. We'll see you next time.